Adam Randall's position switch isn't just about depth. It could be the biggest thing to happen for Clemson's offense in years, and I'll tell you why coming up right now on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 and 97.5 FM, The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay updated on all of my exclusive Clemson content I put out every single week. And don't forget to follow me over on X at the Morgan T Show so you can keep in touch with me in between episodes because I love to talk about all things Clemson. Go over there and give me a shout. I would love it. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about how Adam Randall really can get this offense going and how he can develop into potentially a player that can make it to the next level from someone who is forgotten to now someone who is kind of in the forefront of spring practice. We'll also talk about why the skeptics and the naysayers may be wrong on Adam Randall and how he's much more than a project. And finally, we'll finish it up about Adam Randall and really the running back room and what I think will happen in the 2025 season and how this offense will unlock the next level. Adam Randall, his next role could change the entire Clemson offense. I think his switch to the running back position is more than just a move. It's more than just a project. It is a transformation, and it could eventually lead to a problem for defenses in college football and possibly even in the NFL. It could mirror some, successful NFL careers that we've seen in the past. I think it's a good move for Adam Randall because we have to be honest here. His time at wide receiver was running out. Not really running out. It had already ran out, if you will. They moved him over to a kick returner, and that seemed to kind of be a little bit of a role change there that seemed to be successful. So you saw some success there. He's still a guy that is one of those guys that's talented enough to have on the field, but not necessarily talented enough to be a wide receiver, and that being a top 4 wide receiver on your team. Maybe it's just a situation where the guys that they had were just better, and he's not a bad wide receiver. Maybe it's a situation where his skills are great, his talent is great, but at the wide receiver position only, the matchups and the mismatches were not there. He was struggling to get open. He was struggling to be that baby Julio that we thought of in the past, that we used to give him that nickname. And so they needed to find a spot for him. This guy was a guy who wanted to play on your team, wanted to be a Clemson Tiger, wanted to help improve the team overall in any way possible. And so now the offensive staff has kind of taken a step back, and maybe it was a little bit of him as well, taking a step back and saying, you know what, this path that I was going down is not working out. I kind of like that. I admire that more than... And even though I love this player specifically, one player that comes to mind is Tim Tebow. I think Tim Tebow could have switched roles, and he waited a little bit, maybe too late to do that in his career. But he was a guy who was successful, but kind of hit a ceiling there where everybody else that was at that position, quarterback being, was just a little bit better than him. Now, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He is a leader. He's a pure athlete, eat up with talent. But that role that he wanted to be in, there were just better players and better talent for that specific type of skill set. And I think Adam Randall ran into that same situation at wide receiver at Clemson. Now, his first outlet, we all thought, and even College Football 2025 or NCAA 2025 said he was one of those at-risk guys to get into the transfer portal. A video game, of all things, said that Adam Randall was a guy who was at risk to go to the transfer portal. And if you weren't going to give him more playing time, he was going to leave. I didn't really feel that either. I do think if you think about it on paper, that does make a lot of sense. But if you know Adam Randall, the person, it really wasn't even an option at all. He's always been a Clemson Tiger, and he's going to finish as a Clemson Tiger. And he is a graduate of the university. So how does he become that role player, that star maybe, that could change the offense entirely? Well, I think it goes two ways. And one is becoming a reliable, do-it-all type of running back. You know, he could be the modern version or Clemson's version of a Ty Montgomery. And what happened with him back in the Packers, you remember a few years ago, Montgomery was like a wide receiver in college. Then he had to switch positions mid-season due to injury. And he actually thrived. You know, Adam Randall has a bigger stature and better ball skills, in my opinion, than a Ty Montgomery. Montgomery's 6 foot, 215. Randall's 6'2", 232. I think the coaching staff, you know, you have to be able to be trustworthy and you have to be smart with the football. Can Adam Randall be a guy who is trustworthy? I think so. Can he be a guy who's smart with the football and doesn't cough it up and understands what you have to do as a third down back, understands what you have to do in protection, and understand what it means to be a leader on the team? I actually think he checks all those boxes for Clemson, with maybe the big question mark being the protection, because we just haven't seen it in real life. You know, we know that that's what you got to do as a running back, is protect the quarterback and be that additional blocker sometimes. But those other boxes and being versatile and understanding situations, he's been on the team so long. He's understand the playbook. He understands Dabo. He understands what Clemson is good at. And being a wide receiver is going to help that transition to running back even better. And that's exactly what the staff sees in Randall. And that's why he's earning first team spring reps right now. And I think he could carve himself out not only a good end to his career at Clemson, being able to run, catch, and eventually block, but if he does those things, he could be that trustworthy, do-it-all professional guy, like a potential Montgomery type situation. Now, to me, he also has a little bit of a ceiling, and I tried to go away from Deebo Samuel because everybody seems to use that comparison. So I'm trying to go away from that and tell you that I like his upside in a potential of maybe a Cordarrelle Patterson, that type of impact player, that type of player that's so flexible, you don't really have to make him a do-it-all running back. You can make it a do-it-all professional, as I said, because Patterson's the type of guy, wide receiver, running back, returner. Does that not also reflect on Adam Randall, wide receiver? Yeah, he could do that. Running back? Yeah, he can do that. Returner? Yeah, we've seen that as well. That leads you to a mismatch nightmare for defenses. Linebackers, maybe the secondary, maybe the nickels and the cornerbacks and the safeties, maybe those guys and those types of defenses out on the edge didn't really work well for Adam Randall. Maybe he wasn't able to get open like we thought, and his speed, while there, just wasn't good enough for the outside, and his ability to catch those one-on-one balls wasn't really what was at the expectation of what Clemson had and what the fan base had. But tell me he can't do that against linebackers. I think he could. Linebackers can't cover Cordarrelle Patterson. I don't think they'll be able to cover Adam Randall as well. We're getting that same effect in practice now. And Garrett Riley came out this week and said that he is the true Swiss Army knife. Well, if I'm CJ Spiller, if I'm Garrett Riley, if I'm Dabo Swinney, don't just say it to us. Don't just come out at post-practice and say these things. Actually use this player as a Swiss Army knife. Attack linebackers, attack in parts of the field that you weren't used to when he was an outside guy. Actually, Randall and Patterson kind of match up pretty well in their physical profile. Randall, 6'2", 232, as I mentioned. Patterson, 6'2", 220. Both were built to run tough, run through contact, solid, sturdy guys, but not stiff. You know, I don't see stiffness in Randall. I see kind of a fluidity, an ability to have that agility and finesse to run hard, but also catch passes out of the backfield and exploit mismatches And he could still be used in returning kickoffs. I think he will be. But he's not just a guy to fill a role. And I know everybody's talking about other players when it comes to the running back position, and including me. Don't get me wrong. I have made a whole entire show on Gideon Davidson. I get it. But Adam Randall kind of gives you a really good floor because you know a lot about him already. The biggest question mark for me is that ceiling. What is the staff seeing in him to make him successful in this hybrid type role? And how can a hybrid type role really lean into what Clemson wants to do with their screens, with their zone reads, with their motions? If he can get installed and be a go-to superstar in certain packages, then you won't be able to keep him off the field because he will be a legit big-time X factor for Clemson. I look forward to what more we hear from Adam Randall and from the coaching staff, because I think this was a good move for him. I think it was a good move for the fan base for sure, but also for the team and for the running back position, because they needed an additional guy. But I wouldn't even say he's an additional guy. He's a guy that is really competing to be running back number one to start the season. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about what the naysayers are saying, what the skeptics are saying to me in my mentions, and how Adam Randall is not going to be that, why they are dead wrong. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, I wanted to talk about Adam Randall and the fact that, you know what, I don't think he's just going to be a project. I think that rival fan bases may have a lot of skepticism against what Clemson is trying to do with Adam Randall. And maybe there might be even just some Clemson fans out there that are skeptical, and I can understand that as well. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think that Adam Randall is just moving from wide receiver to running back and trying to fit him in there to get him out the door. And he's already graduated, but just move him on and get his last year of eligibility done. I don't think he's just a project and see what can happen. I think that he will be an absolute problem for defenses if he can get those things moving right. Everything fans are saying about Randall's position change and their worries, I think are wrong. I think he's going to come out and prove the naysayers wrong. I think, to me, he fits everything you want to see in a do-it-all guy. And he can kill you from the backfield, and he can kill you from kick returning, and he can kill you out in the open catching balls. And he's going to be a matchup nightmare. I really do believe that. Now, a lot of fans would say that he's just a wide receiver trying to play running back. And I can understand where you're coming from because, you know, it seemed like it took a really long time to them to figure out, okay, now it's time to move to running back. And there was definitely a need there. But it's not just that he is moving there and he's never done it before. He's come out and said, you know, he's played running back in the past in his little league pee-wee years and his high school years. I know that has been a while from now for sure, but he understands the fundamentals, and he's going to be around a guy like CJ Spiller who can teach the fundamentals of what you need at the running back position. CJ is a guy who's done it at the college level, at an elite level at college, and he's done it at a very good level in the NFL as well. So Randall's not a guy who's just picking this up from scratch. Not only that, he understands the offense. He understands the blocking schemes. He understands the play calls. He understands the players around him and the quarterback as well. You have to be on the same page with the quarterback. And now he's got a support staff there to help him get it through. But he's not a guy who's just coming into this, never have playing running back at all. So I think this could be a guy where if you look at him, as we go back to what I said earlier, he's not a guy who really shined when you had to fit him in a hole of a outside wide receiver. We thought that he would be dominant there, but he really didn't flourish there. I think because you tried to fit him, a square peg in a round hole, right? I think you tried to fit him in one size fits all, and it's not working for him. So to me, he's always been a ball in hand type guy. He's always been a guy where yards after the catch or kick returner, what works best in that kind of scenario? A do-it-all type running back, not just an outside wide receiver, not just a kick returner, but he can do many different things. So while this position may be new to us, I don't think it's new to him. Football's definitely not new to him, and the staff around him are going to be able to support him and get him in the right position possible. So that's why I think it's not a coincidence that he's had some success. And he's got a little bit of that fire, right? He's got that fire because he needs this to be impactful. He needs this year to be important and to show what he can do, because if he can't, then this is kind of it, right? You're going to a regular job after this. Hopefully he can show the nation what talent he has, and hopefully the running back position displays that a little bit better than the outside wide receiver position. Now, I know some fans would say, well, he had just one big play with a kickoff return against Texas, but I'm telling you, it really wasn't a fluke. Clemson had been needing that kind of spark all season. They've been struggling to find anything at the kickoff return in a kickoff returner who could do anything dynamic and spark the offense and get everybody rallied around him. Well, that happened. That happened with Adam Randall. It was huge. It was necessary, and it was in the playoffs. It was in the not the playoffs, but it was in the ACC championship game, right? So he had he had opportunities where he did well against Texas as a running back. He had opportunities where he did well against SMU as a kick returner, and Clemson might not have even been in that game if they didn't have that opportunity to then make, just instead of just needing a bunch of plays to get down the field, they just needed 2 plays to get into field goal position to be able to win the game. Clemson needed a spark, and they got it from a leader in Adam Randall. And I think that you're going to continue to get that. It wasn't luck. It was legit. It was being at the right place at the right time. And I think if you get him in an opportunity where he can have that ball in hand, as I mentioned, keep thinking about that. Ball in hand. You keep getting him the option to do that and to see what he can do out in space, I think it's going to be good. And as I mentioned earlier, he could have transferred. We could not be talking about him at all right now, because he could have went on and moved on to bigger and better things at another school, at another university. But he didn't do that. He could have quit. He could have moved on. He's already graduated. No need to switch positions, right? No need to try to do something where you're basically doing it for the betterment of the team. But that's what leaders do. He's a culture guy. He's a Dabo Swinney guy. He's a Clemson guy. He's the type of guy that can make those key plays in key moments to help you win ACC championship games and potentially even playoff games and maybe even a national championship later on. But I think that's why you got to get him in a role where he can be a benefit to you, and you can't just try to pigeonhole him into something that's just obviously not working out. Another question that really I've had as well is, how is he going to be able to block? I think the toughest part about the position at running back is learning that you can't just do everything with the ball in your hand. You also have to kind of be able to block for other people, specifically your quarterback. He needs to be focused on his pad level, picking up blitzes, understanding pressures. The staff is telling us right now in spring that he's improving. If he figures that out, then that's where the trust comes into play. Only time will tell with that. I don't know much because I don't have a lot of film to go on, but he's going to have to figure it out to be able to prove that he can be trustworthy in other situations. And last but not least, a lot of people over in the text line on 105.5 The Roar radio, they say, well, Adam Randall is just something you're going to talk about in the spring. He's never going to start. It's going to be Gideon Davidson, from day one. I think that is the wrong way of looking at it. Gideon Davidson is the future. Adam Randall is the now. He's already running with the number ones in spring practice. The staff, to me, is not at the point where they're just experimenting with him anymore. They're preparing him. It's not a project. It's a problem, a good problem against the defense. His size, his experience, his ability to get mismatches out of the backfield is going to cause havoc. And I really think that he's going to see some success there. Again, he wouldn't be getting these opportunities if he was just an experiment. And I don't think that. So more to the point, he's really the oldest guy in the room. He's played, over 1,000 snaps or more. He's returned kicks. He's caught passes. He's made the playoffs multiple times, right? He made the postseason multiple times. So this guy is going to be ready. He's going to be ready to play. He's going to be ready to show you what he can do and get his final opportunity. That's why it's really, really big. I think he will definitely be the starter coming into the fall. I think he'll be the day one starter in 2025. I don't think he'll just play. I think he's going to continue to play. Now, will he finish as the starter? That's kind of up to him and really up to the other players around him if they don't knock him off that top spot. But I think for me, he checks a lot of the boxes, more boxes than most against everybody else that we're comparing him to. And that's exactly what Clemson needs. They need a reliable guy that can not just play, that can start, and that can be a matchup nightmare for defenses. All right, before we finish up, we're going to go in last segment. We're going to talk about the running back room and kind of give you a little bit of an overview of everybody, where Adam Randall fits in. Kind of already told you that, but where he fits in and what could happen over the season with the rest of the guys. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertaining, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. And you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you can stop managing your money and start building wealth. I love Monarch Money because I realized just how much I was spending on food all the time. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dollars on food, and I really didn't need to. I could budget smarter, I could save more, and I could eat at home healthier as well. Easy collaboration with my wife as well, smoother than ever. You can track and share personal accounts, set your goals together, and stay on the same page so you don't have to have those awkward conversations a month or two down the road. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Whether you like it or not, Adam Randall will start at the running back position in 2025, and he could be the key to unlocking the entire Clemson offense. He will be running back one. Is he going to be a savior to what they need now that they've lost Phil Maffa? The fact that he is getting first-team reps do not lie. He is a running back that is going to come out and show what he can do. The staff believes in him. Can he carry the load? Not just physically, but mentally. I think so. He's a leader. He's a communicator. He's, a guy that you can trust. He understands the offense, and he understands what Dabo Swinney and Garrett Riley want to do. Plus, he's great friends with Cade Klubnik, so they're going to be able to talk about things offline and figure out what they can do in between games to get even better and be on the same page week in and week out. To me, Adam Randall starts from the very beginning against LSU in the first couple of months into the season. And if you compare him to the other running backs, now you have Keith Adams Jr. Now he's going to bring in a lot of physicality, but to me, he's non-existent in the passing game, and he's not going to bust open a long run on you at all. Now, you also have David Eziomume. He is going to bust open a long run for you, but he's still learning the system. I don't know how well he is in the pass protection, and I don't know about where he's at as far as a physicality level. You have Jay Haynes as well, who's coming back from injury, and there's a big question mark behind him because how long is it going to take him to get back to being game ready, because a torn ACL is a big deal for sure. So it may take some time, more time than a lot of people want to have to wait around for. And game one, he may not be absolutely ready for that. Jarvis Green is another guy who I've stumped for many times. And he's also come out on social media and said, hey, don't forget about me. Well, I don't want to forget about him either, but I will say this. When it comes to comparing him and Adam Randall, I think I would take Adam Randall over him right now because of that size, that physicality, and the mentality as a leader for the team. Now, I can't say that Jarvis Green won't have that, but to me, Adams, Eziomume, and Green are guys who will rotate in when Randall is not available, when Randall is subbing out, when he's getting a breather. That would be kind of your running back by rotation scenario. I think you have to play those guys, maybe not as many snaps or many possessions as they would want, but you have to play those guys often to keep Adam Randall fresh throughout the entire season. As we're seeing in college football, they're just making more and more and more and more games to the season. So you cannot ignore the fact that you need to kind of manage your players and their health. I don't want to get too far down the road of managing that, because you could get into like a LeBron James situation, or maybe some of these NBA type guys who seem to take a lot of days off. I don't want to make it into a problem in that sense, but you do need to manage better than you did Phil Maffa for sure. So Keith Adams Jr., David Eziomume, Jarvis Green, those would be guys. Jay Haynes eventually. Those would be guys that I think you would rotate in. And then finally, Gideon Davidson. It goes back to the fact that, could Gideon Davidson be running back number one from the very beginning? Yeah, he definitely could. He is a guy who is everything you want. He is ready as much as any freshman has been ready, from what I'm hearing from the staff, from other analysts, from other experts out there, from people who have gone to practice. However, I know Dabo Swinney as far as from a fan perspective, and I know that Dabo Swinney doesn't always like to play true freshmen from the very beginning. He's going to rely on rely on Adam Randall first, and then Gideon Davidson later on in the season. So Gideon Davidson is the future. I'm not saying he's not also this coming season. Future could be October, November, December, right? Future could be January. That could be Gideon Davidson's role. To me, August, September, October, I'm going to put my chips in on it being Adam Randall to start out. The offense desperately needs what I would say is unpredictability. Wouldn't you agree with that? They need to be able to show that, because if they don't find something at the running back position that is versatile in this way, you really are going to throw the ball. It's going to be air Cade throwing it 40, 50 times, which you don't really want, and then running Cade. So it'll be dirt raid Cade, if you will, because Cade's going to do it all. Cade will have to run the ball. Cade will have to throw the ball. And if you do all that, then you have to worry about his management of health and how long he's going to be able to take all that pressure, and mentally, but physically as well. So you know that you're going to get some reps with Cade Klubnik as a running back, but you really don't want it to be the blunt of it. You don't want to be the number one running back every single game. Randall, to me, brings to the team unpredictability. Can you motion him out? Sure, you can motion him out and be confident in him being able to run the correct route, run the route properly, and get open if he needs to. I think it'll be better if he can do it in a situation where he's matched up against a nickel, where he's matched up against a linebacker. So motion him out. I think You trust him there. Flex him out wide. You trust him there. I don't know if he'll be able to get open because we've seen when he's out wide as an outside wide receiver, he struggles there. Can you run him inside? I mean, he seems to have some of that motor, that drive, that want to. And can he be lethal in the screen game? I think so. Maybe better at the running back screen game than at the wide receiver spring game. I didn't feel as confident at the wide receiver spring game. And I know a lot of you fans out there, including myself, would say no more wide receiver screens. I would buy a t-shirt that says no wide receiver screen, right? But give Garrett Riley some creativity here. Give him options. And I think those options are going to create space for Cade Klubnik, and they're going to create space for Adam Randall to work together to be able to be unpredictable, but open up opportunities for others around him. Just being a presence out on the field, even if he's not getting the ball, could be lethal for keeping that defense honest to you and keeping them guessing for sure. For whatever reason, the Clemson staff probably didn't do as well in helping the team move on from Phil Maffa after 2024, 2025. But they fell into Adam Randall in this safe, smart decision. I think it was a great choice to move him. He has a lot of snaps. He has a lot of experience. He's your veteran guy. He's your leader in this running back room. And to me, he is your starter for this team starting out. And if it all works out, is there a downside? The downside is you go back to the running back by committee, which is what we assumed in the first place. The downside is you just go ahead and move on to Gideon Davidson, which is what a lot of fans are stumping for already. So there's not much of a downside, but there's a huge upside and potential for Adam Randall. The tape on the wide receiver side, not so good. Not going to get any scouts on the NFL level buzzing. But a 230-pound power running back who is versatile out of the backfield and can catch the ball and is a true leader, and doesn't give up even when he faces adversity and faces lack of playing time, doesn't transfer out when the transfer portal era is what we're in. If he produces at a high level, that's draft ability right there. That's him getting into the next level. That's getting him on Sundays to the NFL. I think Randall's going to start at running back 1. Bottom line is he could help make Clemson's offense unpredictable and jumpstart their progression back into the playoffs, back into a national championship style form. Hey, thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. March is here, so be the most informed college basketball fan throughout the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I appreciate everyone being a part of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow and with some more Clemson updates from spring practice and maybe even some baseball talk as we go into the weekend. But I appreciate every one of you. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.